Your weight loss was going so well until it all of a sudden stopped. Let's talk about why that might be happening and what you can do to get that weight loss going again. Here we go. Hey everybody, this is Dylan. I make videos helping you to stick to a plant-based diet more easily. I take all the complexity out. I'm not here to try to convince you or change you or save the world. I don't care what you do with your life. But if you do want to eat like me, I'm here to help you do it more easily. And if you've spent any amount of time trying to adhere to a healthy plant-based diet, then you know it can be pretty tough. Not just because turning down really rich food that is readily available can be really hard when you need to eat the healthier, less rich stuff, but also because a lot of people out there make this so much harder than it has to be. This channel is here to make it easy for you. So let's talk about weight loss and why it can be a struggle for just about everybody going through it. In our natural history as a human being, it was really important that your body is able to store fat as efficiently as possible. You wanted to eat the fewest number of bites while storing the most amount of fat on your body as possible, because that is your backup fuel. Of course, our primary fuel is glucose, carbs, carbohydrates, starches is what I like to call them. All of the beans and legumes, potatoes and whole grains, these are the foods that our body actually burns as a primary fuel. Our brain, our muscles, everything burns carbs. But as a backup fuel, you can burn fat. We humans have been on the planet for over a couple 100,000 years, and for pretty much all of that time, food was very scarce. We were trying to get as much of it as we could, and the people that did the best were the ones that could most efficiently store the extra calories as body fat. We needed that fat. If you could store a lot of fat while eating less than somebody else, you were going to be doing better than them when spring came late. You weren't going to starve to death, and maybe they were. But now the tides have turned, and all of that scarce food is more than available, and in scientific fancy ways that we could never have imagined. Food is richer and tastier than ever before, and it's causing huge problems because all the people that needed to be really efficient at storing fat now wish they weren't so efficient at storing fat. Am I right? Our ancestors ate a relatively healthy diet of entirely unprocessed foods, and if we took all of those same exact foods and didn't change them at all, but we just made them unlimited to us now, you could see how that would be a real problem. As I explained, food was very scarce back then. It was really hard to get filled up at every meal, every day, just like we can today. And even if we took all of those natural history foods that we ate back then and we just had unlimited access to them now, we'd still have a lot of people with a weight problem. We wouldn't be in as bad a shape as we are today with 3/4 of our population in the United States overweight or obese, but we would have a lot more overweight than in our natural history because the calories are more readily available to us, and we don't have to run around and work so hard to get them like we used to have to do. Now take that and on top of it, turn it all into science food. Box it up, bottle it up, whatever, and turn it all into science, designed for the sole purpose of tickling our taste buds and giving us foodgasms at every bite. And we know that in order to make food taste good, we have to make it really, really rich, because that's what our bodies are designed to find tastes good. That's what kept us alive back then, and now it's making us fat and sick today. So all of the food scientists and chefs have taken all of those old foods and they've pretty much turned it into garbage that's poisoning the population and making us very unhealthy. So not only do we have unlimited food, we have unlimited garbage food, and we don't have to move around to get it, so we're not moving around as much. So off the top of my head, those are the three main issues that are causing the weight problem. So now let's talk about weight loss. The way that you achieve healthy weight loss is by mimicking our natural environment as closely as you possibly can, getting rid of all the science foods and eating whole natural foods, the starches especially. Could people technically get by with a little bit of animal products in the diet, sort of like what may have mimicked our natural history? Yeah, probably, but that meat isn't available anymore, and you shouldn't be eating any of the meat that's available now because it's loaded with garbage. It's nothing like it was eaten in our natural history. Leave the animals alone and focus on what the bulk of our calories came from: the whole starches, the whole fruit, the non-starchy veggies that add a lot of flavor and variety to our diets, and even a little bit of nuts and seeds and avocado. These were foods that were very scarce in our natural history. So the number one way to lose weight would be to closely mimic our natural history and way of eating as best we can by eliminating all the animal products, the junk food, and the processed science food, and get our butts moving like we did back then as well. You don't need to exercise a lot. A lot of people think that you need to go to the gym and run on the treadmill and do the Stairmaster for like a million years in order to burn that 100 extra calories. It really doesn't work that way. The science has shown that a very minimal amount of activity is all we need in order to achieve the greatest amount of sustainable weight loss. You don't need to be going crazy exercising. You really want to make sure you're getting that minimal amount of activity every day and not living a totally sedentary lifestyle. That may mean 30 minutes of walking around your neighborhood. If If you're not mobile yet, it may be doing some light exercises along with getting your food right, like we explained, and then as you gradually can, get outside, do some walking. If you can do more, maybe you'll do the elliptical machine or a treadmill or run the neighborhood or do some light calisthenic exercises, things like that. That's all great. But my point here is that weight loss does not come from the exercise. A minimal amount of exercise is absolutely necessary, but an excessive amount of exercise doesn't really do a lot better. The way you lose weight is by eating the right food. Focus on whole healthy starches, fresh fruit, and non-starchy veggies, and this will get the weight loss going.
Oh, but I've experienced weight loss eating a Mediterranean diet or whatever other diet.
Here's the thing, if you take somebody who's eating a standard American diet rich with total, absolute garbage junk food, and you put them on, say, a Mediterranean diet, which still has animal products and olive oil and other concentrated foods like that, they're still gonna lose weight, but you're gonna plateau, hence the topic of this video. It is very unlikely that your body is making any kind of mistake with the weight that it is carrying. You are probably just the weight you should be based on the food that you're putting in your body and that little bit of exercise we talked about too. Weight loss is much less complex than so many people give it credit for. There are ways that you can biohack the body and eat at a certain time and play with intermittent fasting and all of these things, but at the end of the day it comes down to what you're putting into your body throughout the course of a week. Not a moment, not a meal, not one day. What your body's gonna react to is what you do day in, day out on repeat, your actual way of eating. Not some temporary diet that you're doing, but your lifelong diet. That's what's gonna determine what your body looks like. So a lot of people that start at a really heavy weight may find this way of eating really easy at first. They're still able to eat some nuts and seeds and avocado and things are tasting great and they're making lots of rich sauces to put on things, but by and large it's all whole plant food ingredients. What you're doing for your health by eating this way is exceptional compared to the way you've been eating before. You're saving your health. But here's the thing, if you're eating a lot of excess fat, even if it comes from whole natural foods, you may hit a plateau before you actually want to, and that's okay. Now you gotta clean it up a little bit more. Reduce the fat, reduce the fat, reduce the fat. You can play with some different ideas in order to make it mentally easier to eat the right food, but it still comes down to eating the right food and eliminating all of the stuff you shouldn't be eating that's hindering you from losing weight. So eliminate more of the fats, reduce the calorie density. If you haven't watched my video on calorie density before, that is the #1 key to weight loss. It's the only thing that matters when thinking about weight loss, really. Now, you can play with other things. For example, there are lots of healthy ways of tricking the body into eating fewer calories because it's really hard for you to actually choose to eat those things. So one of them would be like food sequencing, I guess we're calling it. I don't remember because I don't pay a lot of attention to some of these little tricks, but it would be like filling up in the morning on steamed vegetables, okay? Really low calories, lots of bites, lots of food, lots of volume that you're getting down, but you're getting full really early. And then maybe you finish the breakfast with some oatmeal, which is that rich, starchy, these are the calories that your body's really gonna burn. So you're not just taking up space now, you're giving the body more calories at the end of a meal. So that's a way that you can trick the body into getting fewer calories for that volume of food that you've eaten. So bottom line, your weight loss is going to stall exactly where it should be based on what you're putting in the body. My weight loss, when I was losing a lot of weight, I got all the way down to 155 pounds because I was eating a really low-fat diet. I was just learning about all this. I was testing it out, seeing what my body was capable of. I thought I was gonna waste away to nothing. And all of a sudden, my weight loss just stopped. Right where it should have been. I was at a healthy weight in a normal BMI range. It was on the low end, but it was in a normal BMI range, and it just stopped. So after I got down to my lowest weight, I decided that I could add in some nuts and seeds and avocados and more fat, and sure enough, my weight came right back up. I was still eating exclusively healthy food, all whole plant food ingredients like those that I promote on this channel, but my weight was going up. How could this be? Well, it's just because the concentration, the calories of the food were higher. Calorie density, that's all it comes down to. There are a lot of little hacks and tricks that you can do. I just don't find them to be very sustainable in the long term. You could do intermittent fasting and reduce your eating window to only 6 hours a day, and you're obviously gonna get fewer calories than you would have if your eating window was 8 or 10 hours a day. That's just numbers. But what I find to be the best approach is to determine what your actual everyday diet is. Where do you feel the best? That may be that you're only eating in an 8 or even a 6-hour window, but you're not trying to do it. That's the point. You don't want to be constantly trying to do these little things to trick your body into doing the right thing. Just find the right foods that work for you. Find the calorie density that works best for you. It is true that genes do play a role in weight loss. There are some fortunate people that get to eat nothing but garbage day in, day out, and they don't have to deal with any of the extra weight. But I encourage you not to think about all the people that can get away with eating whatever they want. Let's think about if everybody ate a healthy whole plant food diet. There'd still be a variety of weights and BMIs, right? Some people are going to carry more weight because they're more efficient at storing the fat, like we talked about earlier. Others, like me, less efficient at storing fat, and so even when I eat the healthy foods, I tend to be skinnier. I got all the way down to 155 pounds, like I said, whereas other people may not actually get that low, even eating the exact same thing as me. But still, eating the right food rules and then just varying the amounts of each of our little food groups is going to be the best way to break through a plateau. If you're eating a healthy whole plant food diet with nuts and seeds, try a month without the nuts and seeds and avocado and extra fat and see what happens to your weight loss then. I'm not saying you should eliminate them forever. There may be a time when you get back into your groove where you can have some of those things. But that is the one-time thing you have to learn, is how your body should be eating for the rest of its life. And then you've just got your diet forever and you don't have to think about it anymore. But it does take a few months, maybe a year for some people, to really get into the swing of how they should be eating. What foods can I eat in what amounts and how frequently throughout the day for me to feel best? How much activity, what activity level should I have? Should I be running? Should I be doing high intensity? Should I be doing bodybuilding? Should I just be walking the neighborhood? When do I feel best, look the best for me? It doesn't mean that you have to have the perfect figure. It just means what will you settle on that leaves you the happiest while still being able to indulge in some of the foods once in a while, for example? Or are you a never ever indulge in those foods ever person? But the bottom line, your body is going to weigh exactly what it's supposed to. Tweak the food that you're putting in a little bit, tighten it up, remove the salt. Salt has no calories at all, but can definitely cause you to be heavier because it makes the food taste better, which means you're going to eat more bowls of food. Even if you make a healthy potato corn chowder and you put some salt on it, I can eat like 6 bowls instead of 3. So you can see how those calories, those extra calories that you're going to eat, are really because of the salt. It wasn't the salt itself that actually made you gain weight or hindered your weight loss. It was the fact that the salt made the food taste good and now you're eating a lot more of it because of that. It's the same as when you go out to a restaurant and you stuff yourself silly, whereas when you cook for yourself at home, you don't get as full. When the food tastes better, you're gonna gorge on it, you're gonna eat as much as you can because it just goes right back to our natural history. That's what our ancestors did to stay alive. That is what our psychology and our brains has led to our doing to this day. Watch my calorie density video and understand it to the letter, and now you can tweak your diet just a little bit to get your weight exactly where you want it. But if you've got only 10 pounds to lose, I would encourage you to take another look at whether you really need to lose those pounds. Ditch all the tricks and the weight loss body hacks and all of that garbage. It's only adding complexity to your healthy lifestyle, and I found that that complexity is what throws people off in the long term the most. You want this to be a forever thing. Ditch the complexity, subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.